how would you address that in terms of helping those small startup businesses?
Well, fortunately, because I'm not in charge of that, but fortunately, the Chancellor has announced that small business rates will be abolished, and that is going to be a big boost to the sort of businesses and high streets we're talking about.
Yeah.
So I've not yet looked at the potential effect of that, but my gut feeling is that's going to be a huge improvement. It won't help the banks stay there, but it will certainly help in terms of maintaining those independent businesses that I think define Bristol.
Going on to the different communities, Bristol is quite a diverse city, but in my opinion, not very integrated. There is a lot of work to be done in terms of bridging the gap between different cultures, and some of the things that we've heard, some murmurs coming through, are that actually you don't really care that much, and you haven't tried to integrate as much as you should have with the different ethnic minorities. Do you feel that you've put enough of an effort in the time that you've been there?
What's enough? I do a huge amount of engaging with all communities, and I enjoy it. I mean, I think you see that I really enjoy that, and but it's never enough. And I think we have to do more and more, but I really celebrate the fact that Bristol has become more diverse in terms of its communities, that we have 91 languages, we have so many different forms of food, we have lots of different cultures and beliefs, and I think we all learn off each other, and that is hugely important. I'm the biggest learner. I mean, I really sup it all up. I learn so much from the different communities that come to Bristol, and some of those communities bring wonderful practice with them in terms of family life and other things that actually help with the education of their children, and so I absolutely believe that I do as much as I possibly can and always want to do more.
So what would you say to those people that maybe feel you're not so approachable and you're not interested in what they're doing or what their community is doing?
I think there's an element of misinformation. I know that I'm approachable. I mean, I'm hardly a stuffy guy in a suit, you know. Kids come up to me all the time. Usually people talk to me playfully wherever I am. Some people shout words that I won't repeat, but they engage. I'm very open and easy to talk to, so never am I standoffish. And I think some people shout at me, and you know, you don't want to get too much. You don't want to get too engaged with people you know are just going to be screaming and shouting. So I might walk away from difficult situations, but there's a huge amount of misinformation, and a lot of that's political. You've got to bear in mind, at this time, especially during an election where I'm up against the big party machine, there's going to be lots of leafleting that says the mayor doesn't listen, the mayor only cares about his people or something, you know, it's absolute nonsense.
Because that has been said a few times, that George is interested in, let's call them the Cliftonites, and not so much the rest of us.
I can't think of a grant I've given to Clifton while I've given loans to the inner city, and you know, so it couldn't be more untrue. We are, and I'm really proud of it. I applied for us to be a Rockefeller, one of the global 100 resilient cities, and we won because my plan was to create much greater social resilience and integration, because if you're to be a resilient city, I think you've got to have a happy city, you've got to have one that hasn't got internal strife. And if we don't tackle these issues, we will end up with internal strife, and that won't be good for, it won't be good for the poor, but it won't be good for the rich either. And it's really important that we have cross-understanding, that we have integration, that everybody feels that they've got an equal opportunity. We never get equality, but it's really important that people feel that they're not blocked, that there isn't a glass ceiling. I want people to be able to realise their ambitions. I I want to be able to give people the skills that enable them to have really rewarding jobs, not just jobs that they have to do. And this takes understanding. It takes the understanding that I have from being both a private and public employer, for having worked in so many different organisations, small, large, national, international, local, and the mayor is not some sort of entry-level job. It is a job about understanding the whole aggregate, the large and the small aggregate that makes up a city. And it does frustrate me when people think that I don't engage, because nobody engages more with so many different communities across this city than me, and that is my job.
Just onto the point you made there, saying that the mayoral job is not an entry-level job. It's not a, you know, just give someone a chance to do it. Bristol's not a game. Do you feel that you are the one with the right skill set to take Bristol forward?
It's always a difficult thing, isn't it, when you're talking about yourself? But somebody asked me, if you weren't standing, which candidate would you support? And to be honest, I found it really difficult because, as you say, it's not a matter of giving somebody a chance. It's about making sure Bristol has good, strong, experienced leadership, that it has somebody who has managed major budgets, that has managed large teams of people. We employ 7,500 people. We're looking after nearly 500,000 people. So I like to be generous. I think there's some brilliant qualities amongst some of the candidates. My principal opponent is Marvin Rees, for whom I've got a lot of respect. But there's nobody there that I believe that's got all the skills that I know are absolutely necessary to make Bristol one of the best cities in the world, which it's got to be.
Going back to the local independent businesses that are run by the different ethnic minorities, recently these businesses have really been thriving and doing a lot better and better every year. But one thing I find personally is that they're not integrated into, let's call it, the mainstream businesses in Bristol. Sort of the big industry, the big businesses, even sort of clubs, business clubs. You don't really see a representation of the ethnic minorities there yet. I know of companies in Bristol run by ethnic minorities that are turning over £20 million a year. Why do you think this is, and do you think you could do something to bridge that gap, to involve the businesses with the mainstream in Bristol?
Absolutely, I do. I don't think I've done, even though I come from a entrepreneurial business background, as an architect, as a designer, as somebody who's done a lot of regeneration, even though I've done all that, I think I could engage much more with business and address that issue. So I'm going to set up a business advisory board, which I've agreed with Business West and other business leaders. I want that to be the top of the agenda. I want to be social mobility. If we're to do that, we've got to have all areas of business involved from all communities. When you go to a Business West meeting, it's pretty, it's pretty monochrome. And I do think, I'm really puzzled by that. So I think we need to have, maybe it's a matter of cost, I don't know, but I do think that we need to have a real push in order to get a much more united business representation in Bristol. And I do think that the BME business community has a massive amount to offer, and it shouldn't be segregated into this is where black business goes and this is where white business goes. We don't do that. We shouldn't do that. It's not something we do in our schools, and we shouldn't be doing it in business. So I think Bristol could be on a real winner if we make the business community more integrated than it is, and it will help with social mobility as well.
Looking at housing,